Happy Thursday, everyone. How you guys doing? It is Sharla Kornegay coming live to you guys with another Forever Friends Academy episode. How you guys doing? I'm happy to be on as usual with you guys. It's Thursday. We are almost to the weekend. How you guys doing? Hopefully I can get some of you guys on with me to have a nice conversation. As per usual, I'm going to introduce myself just in case there's anybody new to the podcast, which I always say I would absolutely love. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sharla Kornegay, aka Sharla K. I'm an author, a recording artist, creator of Interact Coaching and Forever Friends Academy. This is my show titled the same name, Forever Friends Academy, and we talk about all love and relationship topics. And my aim is to, one, have a platform where we talk about relationship topics so that we can possibly extract some principles and some fundamental truths that we can use to build our relationships, because for many, the relationship space is one of the hardest areas in life to navigate, understandably so, because it is uncontrollable, and very vulnerable, probably one of our most vulnerable processes in life. So it's not always easy for people to navigate it. So what I like to do is introduce topics and ask questions and quotes that will help us kind of think about how we are navigating and building our relationships. And I'm a firm believer that God is love, and love is the glue that brings people together, or I should say, I'm gonna say bind, that sounds so restrictive, but it is the glue that allows the people in the relationship to continue choosing each other over and over again. And so I like to introduce topics like love and vulnerability and things that are oftentimes talked about in society and deemed as weak points of ours, and look at it and actually see the strength in it, and kind of pick it apart, and look at it for what it is, so that we can use it appropriately in relationships. And I always say that there are fundamental truths and principles that you can use to at least build the foundation of your relationship. Of course, the way we or when we apply those principles will be different, because our lives unfold in different ways, but it doesn't mean that we have to use different principles. There are certain just processes in life that if you go across the world, across genders, where you find us, crossing the same bridges, and having to kind of learn the same and similar lessons. So I do believe that there are principles that we all can use to build a solid foundation for our relationship. So that's what we talk about here. And so welcome. If you like anything I say, definitely go to my YouTube channel, Forever Friends Academy, by the same name. And, you can find all the full videos, the live videos there. On all the other platforms, I just put the snippets, but on YouTube you get the full video. And I would appreciate it if you did like, subscribe, and comment on the video, so that other people can hear about what we talk about on this podcast. Hey Justin, how are you? Thank you for popping in with me. So that's enough about me. Let me talk about the music side of me. Sharla Kornegay, aka Sharla K. When I'm on the stage, I go by Sharla K. That's my artist name, and so feel free if you want to just either Google my name or put it in Spotify, iTunes. It's on Tidal, whatever music platform of your choice, and you'll be able to peruse through my music catalog. Hopefully, you'll find some songs that you like there. I like to make anthems. That's kind of like my thing. So hopefully maybe you can find an anthem, a theme for your new year there. So now that's enough about me. I want to make sure I put that out there. And tonight's topic, I'm so curious to see what you guys, I think I say this every single time I come on. Like, I'm so curious to see what your thoughts are on it. But I came across a video snippet on YouTube of one of my favorite Hi, Coach Jean. How are you? One of my favorite, I don't even want to sum him up and say he's just a therapist because I feel like he has such a brilliant mind. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him. His name is Jordan Peterson. And the topic that I'm presenting to you guys tonight kind of came directly from that. And I'm going to show you guys a snippet from the video so that I can hear your thoughts on it. But I'm going to start with the question of the night. I know I usually always pop out a quote first, but I want to start with the question for you guys tonight and let me know what your thoughts are. So the question for tonight is, would you rather be safe or strong? Would you rather be safe or strong? And I would love to hear your feedback if you're going to answer the question from this point of view. When people think about you, whether it's your family or your friends, and let's just say they're coming to confide in you or just be in your presence, do you feel like they come to you for more like safety, or do you think they come to you because of your strength? So that's the question for tonight. I know it's kind of twofold. I'm always putting out questions that have some kind of addendum to them. So let me repeat it again for you guys. Maybe you guys are pondering, hopefully. The question is, would you rather be safe or strong? Would you rather be safe or strong is the question for tonight. And little addendum to that, when you think about your circle, whether it be your friends or your family, do you think when they come to you, whether it's to confide in you or whether it's just to be around your presence, do you think they come to you because of the safety? Like maybe they feel safe when they're around you, or do they come to you because of your strength? So that's the question. Hey, Soul Nana, how are you, beautiful? Thank you for joining. And she gave me an answer right away. Oh, that was easy for you. She said safe. All right, so I have one answer, folks. Safe it is so far. Safe, I've got one answer. Okay, I've got two answers. Justin says, I like to be strong and safety. You got to choose one, Justin. For the sake of just answering the question. You can't pick both. He said both for me. No, you can't pick both. You gotta choose one. Just for the sake of today. You gotta choose one. He said, because one, I would be home like 3 a.m. in the morning off violent streets. I'm not trying to be out there on the streets where it's not safe. So he safe for me. But he says he likes to be both. So he said, I need to be safe at home. I would not be home. Okay, so then if it just in the way that you answered the question, can I put you as leaning more towards safe? So if that's the case, then I have two answers of safe. Okay, so I have two people so far, different genders. One's a woman and one's a man, and they both say safe. Interesting. All right, so Nana says some people are only around because of what they think you can do. Yeah, definitely. They also want to be nosy, you got that right, and filled in with your life to see if you're doing better than them. I know, right? It's unfortunate, but that is so true. That is so true. But when the addendum part to that question is, I want to know, when you think about your family and your friends, do you think if you ask them, if they had to choose between those two words to describe the type of person that you are, do you think that they would say, I don't know, you're a safe person or you're a strong person? Well, I guess from that perspective, if you can answer it from that point of view, because I'm curious. I'm always curious where all these questions come from. All right, so I've got two people that have said safe so far. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm not missing any comments from some of the other platforms. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Let me see. Okay, nope, I didn't miss anything. I just wanted to make sure. All right, so far I have two safes. Nobody says strong yet. No one says strong. Soul Nana says they would say I'm strong, okay, but I don't know what struggles, but don't know. Okay, I'm sorry, let me read that right. She said they would say that she's strong, but don't know what struggles she goes through. People confide in you not knowing uh, the hell you go through. Yeah, right? I guess that's where you always hear kind of the statement, check on your strong friends, right? The people who are, you know, who everybody believes is so strong because they also, right, need a breather moment, and they also need support. So I totally understand that statement, so Nana. Yeah, absolutely, right? I think the people who are strong are because, they are that way because of the things that they go through and persevere through to be able to, not only stand strong in their own and rise above their own situations, but also to do what she said, which is, where other people are also leaning, and extracting from their strengths. So yeah. Okay, so nobody's like, I would rather be safe than strong. I guess, do you feel like if you're safe, you don't have to be strong? Do you feel like if you're safe, then you don't have to be strong, right? Is it that where, like Justin said, I'm gonna get up off these streets. I'm not gonna be in these streets at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'll make sure I'm safe so that something doesn't happen to me. Oh my goodness, my cousin is in here. Hey, Sunza, how are you? I'm going to definitely ask you the question because, one, you're super intelligent, and I want to see what your take is on this. So I put out a question, and I said, is it better to be safe or strong? What are your thoughts? Is it better to be safe or strong? And when your family members or your inner circle, the people who think about you, do you think that they come around you because you make them feel safe? You're like a symbol of safety to them? Or are you a symbol of strength? So that's the question for tonight that I popped out before we dive deep into tonight's topic. So I'm so curious to see what you're going to say. So Nana said, yeah, because being strong takes too much work. You got to look over your shoulder. Yeah, I think it's so interesting that you say that, So Nana. I remember I did a podcast a while ago talking about compromise and sacrifice. And I was saying that, the state of a lot of, the relationship culture that we're in today is due to because we have a culture of compromise rather than sacrifice. And I remember saying on that podcast that it's interesting. Sometimes we get a misinterpretation about what true sacrifice is, because sometimes we make decisions in life and those decisions aren't the best decisions for us. They're not the most optimal, they don't provide us the most optimal experiences, and some of them create, you know, repercussions. That's what I will say. Certain repercussions, maybe certain lessons and things that we have to go through because we have to learn maybe lessons that we miss. And I was just thinking about that because of what you said, because it's so interesting when you say that. It's like, okay, me thinking I have to be strong is me just looking over my shoulder, or it's almost like a defensive type of strength. And I think in the same way where I talked about sacrifice, true sacrifice not being you having to go through whatever things that you need to go through to learn from the repercussions of bad decisions, but that you voluntarily lay something down for the greater good, or you know what I mean. That's really what true sacrifice is. But I think we have been maybe around many people or heard people talk about how much they've had to sacrifice, but never really put it in the proper context of maybe the things that they're going through are just repercussions of bad decisions that they've made, and I don't think that's true sacrifice, but I do think that we will put it in that category. And then when somebody somebody, let's say a child is listening to that and they evolve into adulthood where they have to cross the bridge of making true sacrifice. In their mind, they'll think, oh, I saw this person making this and this and this sacrifice and it didn't go too well for them, not knowing that that person was probably going through the process of going through their own, living through and growing out of the repercussions that they had to go through because of those poor decisions. So I think it's a very interesting statement that you made, like depends on how we view the strength. Like it could be strength where people who build empires, and it's not necessarily that they're looking over their shoulder, like what does strength look like in an offensive state rather than a defensive state? I guess that's what it's making me think about in your statement. All right, my cousin says, as a man, it's in my job description to be strong. Wow, my strength provides the safe space for you. Okay, so Big Trey says strength. He's my first answer who says strong. That's my first strong answer for tonight. Everybody else has said safe so far. Okay. So, and that's so interesting. He said, as a man, it's in my job description to be strong. And that his strength provides the safe space for his loved ones. Interesting. Hello, Imagine Van Gogh, Lippy Official. How are you guys doing? The question of the night that I popped out, feel free to answer, is would you rather is it better to be safe or strong? And when you think about the people who are in your life, and if you had to ask them, when you think of me, do you think of me as providing like safety for you, or do you think of me more of providing strength for you? So feel free if you want to answer the question. So far, I've got 2 saves, safe, it's better be safe, and 1 strong. So while I'm waiting for you guys, I'll tell you guys my answer. I'm going to agree with my cousin on here, Tunza. I thought about strong, and it was it's an interesting it's an interesting question. I want to play the video for you guys because I think I don't know if any of you guys were in limbo. Oh, Justin was. He was like, "Can I pick both?" Because right, it's an interesting statement. It's so many ways that I could look at it, kind of look at it as I was saying, maybe if you're safe, then you don't have to be strong. But then I thought of how many lessons in life, how many gemstones that I acquired through being strong, through certain situations. And I'm going to play this video for you guys because the way that Jordan Peterson kind of breaks this down definitely also made me go all the way over to strong. So I'm curious for those of you who will still be on it. I'm only going to play about 2 minutes and 30 seconds of it, so it's not going to be long. I'm curious to see after you hear the snippet if your answer changes any, because I love the way that he described it in the video. So Nana says, I would love to just live and not worry, but be strong for minimal things. Yeah, I don't know what I'm. Justin said, I don't know what I'm saying. Justin, you're making me laugh. You're making me laugh. No problem. Yeah. I think that's it, right? It's like what our strength requires from us, and I guess there are probably a lot of people in this culture right now who probably feel the same way that you feel, so Nana, right? It's like, I don't have to necessarily just continue to feel like, I'm fighting. So I totally understand what you're saying. But let me let you guys hear this video on Jordan Peterson's breakdown of it. And let me know, I'm going to come back to you guys just to see what you think, first of all, about what he says, and if it changes your answers any. All right. So on IG, I apologize again because the frame is not going to be, exact to the ratio on IG, but you will be able to hear it. All right. So let me play this and then I'll get back to you guys and see what your thoughts are. All right.
Is our goal to make humans that are safe or strong?
Well, you can't. Strong is safer than safe.
Strong is safer than safe.
Yeah, well, look at it this way. Let's say that you're someone, you want to protect your kids at all costs, so you never let them go outside. Well, who's the danger, right? I thought for a long time, why God made paradise? He put Adam and Eve in it. That's the story. What's up with the snake? Well, you can't make anything safe enough so there's no snake in it. It's not possible. That little story is a description of reality itself. Mm-hmm. Bounded space, protected, garden, well-watered place, paradise. Our eternal home, the proper balance between nature and culture, that's a garden. Snake, why? Well, because the snake, the danger is an ineradicable part of human reality. And so, do you get rid of all the snakes? Well, you can't. I mean, you can sort of proximately get rid of a few snakes. There's no snakes in this house except for you and me and the rest of us here. And maybe that's the worst kind of snake. But so then what do? Well, you raise sons and daughters that can contend with snakes. And that's why Mary, for example, is often represented with her head in the stars and her foot on a serpent, because she's the master of snakes. And that doesn't mean there are no snakes. And maybe it doesn't even mean that there shouldn't be any snakes. But it does mean that we should be the master of snakes. And that's why the snake handlers, there's a whole ritual that's associated with that. It's like, well, if you're an advocate of the divine word, you can handle the most dangerous of serpents. Well, you can concretize that in some sense inappropriately, but you can see what it means. And what's the best defense against snakes? Well, it's truth. And maybe it's beauty, and there's other, it's the summum bonum, actually. But all of those other things are pointers to how to become a master of snakes. And so a good mother doesn't say to her children, there are no snakes. She says, hey, straighten up there, kid, and no snake's too big for you. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that's true. And, snakes, they tend to grow in proportion to your ability. So.
You bring up two interesting realities. Let me speak to the first one of the victim mentality first, which is the belief by some that they're unable to be strong enough, or they were held back from being strong enough.
Okay. Whew. There was so much said in that little snippet. He said so much, guys. Oh my gosh. So, what are your thoughts, first of all, just about what he said, his take on it? And I'm curious, definitely, for the ones who said safe, is your answer still the same? Or has it changed hearing what he said? There are a few things that he said that stood tremendously out to me. I love the example that he used about the garden, and I just was like, wow, in the way when he said that, here you have, right? If there can be a more utopic place, right? The Garden of Eden, a more utopic place, and his understanding or his, interpretation of it being, a symbol of the most supreme place, that is safe. But yet, even in that garden, there's a snake, right? Like, why? Why would there be a snake in a supreme, safe, utopic place like that? And I just love the way that he stated that, in pretty much he's saying in any kind of safe space or safe place or garden, there is going to be some kind of serpent that you will have to encounter, that you will have to have enough strength to be able, as he said, master, right, and grow through it. So I love that, because I think that's the first time I've ever heard of that before. And I also love when he stated that, if you're going to be a good parent, for those people who have children, or even if you're auntie, uncle, whoever, that is, you have a family member who is a child, and you want to develop them not to believe that there are no snakes out in the world, and as much as you provide a safe space or safe place for them, it is better, to help them cultivate and develop strength and seek to be strong, to not only be able to identify the snakes that they might encounter, but most definitely, right, be able to have the skill sets and the strength to be able to be strong, to resist them, and be able to, right, progress and move forward. So I absolutely love that. So Nana says, yeah, I have a daughter and I want her to be aware. Yeah, absolutely. And, hey, MF Stars, how are you? The question of the night is it better to be safe or strong? And I don't know when you came in, but I did just play a snippet from a video that I basically was intrigued by the topic, and I wanted to present it to you guys tonight. And I definitely want to put it in the context of relationships because, I definitely meet a lot of people, especially people who have been in either what they deem to be toxic relationships or relationships that broke them, some part of them, whether they felt like they got a broken heart from it or whether they feel like it just damaged them. And, you meet them and a lot of them are imprisoned by that experience, right? And then they don't necessarily want to venture out to even believe or find someone else who can actually align with them, right? And I think when it comes to this, understanding that no matter, and I know for many people that wasn't their circumstance, right? They might feel like what Soul Nana is saying is like, I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of having to push through or worry about things. And I can understand that. And it's for a lot of people, that is what the history is, right? It's not like you had this clean slate or you had an environment where, there was a lot of safety or support. So I can totally understand why someone feeling like that would feel like I'm tired now, and I want a breather. But I think that there is a lot of truth in what he said. That, man, if in the Garden of Eden, where God is setting up a place for these two people, and yet a serpent can, get in there. I think it is a very primary example of understanding that no matter how much safety you think that you have, or even as people who have children, like Soul Nana, like myself, anybody else who is on here, you're going to want to provide the most safest, right, environment for your children to keep all harm out away from them. But we know in reality that eventually they're going to grow up, they're going to get older, and we're not going to be able to see them 24/7. And so therefore the best safety really that you can provide them is to cultivate and develop them in a way where they pull, and they hone in on their strengths so that they can have discernment, have awareness, have an understanding that no matter what the challenges of life bring you, that you do have a character and a spirit within you that can allow you to master it and rise above it. So I really, really love how he broke that down. MF Stars says, oh, he said, it's an easy one. He said, if I'm speaking for men, well, for me, a man said that. So I don't know. I think I missed what he said, whether it was safety or strength. Let me know. Hey, Mrs. Posh to you. How are you? How are you doing? So let me know, Emma Stars. I don't know if I missed your answer, whether it was safety or strength. I'm guessing from the way that you're typing everything that you're going to say strength is what I'm guessing. So let me know if I'm right. He says there's not enough room to write on this one. I'm debating on coming up. All right, most definitely. Let me know. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to kind of present to you guys because I really, really love how he broke that down. And I remember I had when I used to go on Clubhouse. Clubhouse was like the thing, big thing, especially during the pandemic when we were all, most of us were homebound, and looking at different things to do on the internet. And so Clubhouse was, this very big kind of platform where you could go and you could hold rooms and spaces to discuss various different topics. So I used to take my podcast there, and I remember I did a podcast where I asked the people, would you want a safe space or authentic space? Would you want a safe space or an authentic space? And this question about is it better to be safe or strong kind of reminds me of that. And I remember a lot of people who came on said safe space, right? Like, I want a safe space where I can confide in you, I can be vulnerable, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember telling them that, for me, I chose authentic space because there really is no safe space without or authentic space first. And it reminded me of what Jordan Peterson said on the video, because he said, what is the greatest weapon against danger, against, I guess, deceptive, all the snakes that might be around you. And he said truth. And I so agree with that, and that's what I was telling them on my podcast. I was like, with an authentic space, right? Meaning that there's truth there. Then it gives you a fair playing field to see who that person is, right? And therefore, then you can move accordingly. But I think, especially in the culture nowadays, at large, definitely in America right now, I think there are a lot of false safe places that are being created. And I say that meaning that there are certain things, that you can't say because you'll be canceled. There's a lot of walking on eggshells. There's a lot of, the best way I can articulate it is like a false safe space, and sometimes oftentimes the truth is suppressed in the name of inclusivity, or in the name of not wanting to disrespect or things like that. And so I definitely thought about that when he presented this, and I don't think that that's truly a safe place anywhere where there's a space where the truth cannot be actually spoken or the truth is removed. I don't think it becomes a safe space anymore because it's inauthentic. So I definitely thought about that when he said that comment about the truth being what, can help you to equip you from being able to, master the snakes that come in your life. MF Stars says, yes, strength. Give me a sec to write this one. Okay, no problem. And Imagine Van Gogh says, I don't believe that strength necessarily means invulnerability. I love that you said that. I don't think so either. Or believing oneself to be invincible. Absolutely. But being aware, prepared for the challenges in life and in the world, strength could lead to safety. Oh, you sound just like Big Trey was on here, and that was his answer. He said that for him, definitely strength, and the strength that he has leads to safety of his loved ones. And I do. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly, 1,000%. And I think that's why I pick strength for the multiple great examples that you gave. And it reminds me of what Soul Nana said and why it hit me and what she was saying, because again, it reminded me of people who I've heard, and they talk about the sacrifices and things that they've made. And, we want to be able to put those things in proper context, because when people hear it, sometimes you won't know. You need to know the backstory. Like, if there are certain decisions that we've made in life that come with certain repercussions, attached to that decision, then that's not necessarily a sacrifice. That's just a course, a process of life that you you have to go through to get to, right? Then hopefully grow to the next stage, and hopefully learn whatever lessons that we missed in the beginning, and be equipped to make better decisions in the future. Where sacrifice, I think that comes from a person, right, who has the type of strength that you're talking about. Imagine Van Gogh, who understands that, it's not invulnerability, but it also takes a lot of vulnerability to be strong and to be able to face certain challenges in life. And I think more importantly, as I was talking to Soul Nana, of saying how, sometimes if we think of strength, why don't we think of it like the strength where, we are, it might be a sacrifice, a person who does a sacrificial act for the greater good of everyone, right? That's not a defensive type of strength. That's an offensive type of strength, right? It is a person who knows that they've increased in their capacity to express and extend love, to express faith, to stand in the strength of their vulnerability and do it not just for themselves, but also those who surround them. And I know for me, I always tell people, whether it's me doing these podcasts, whether it's me writing the books that I write, or whether it's me doing the songwriting and singing my songs, the things that really inspire me is just the endurance of humanity, like the heart of the human spirit. Because I've had my own life experiences where I've had to grow through and experience, whether it's dysfunction or trauma and things like that, and rise above it. But I've seen so many other people who, right, we all have our different backstories, and everybody has their own weight to carry here in this life. And I've met some amazing people who have gone through what you would think is probably the most unbearable things. And somehow, my goodness, we're able to grow through it and not just survive, but thrive. And I think it's amazing. There was another story, this example that was on another interview that I saw with Jordan Peterson. And he said that there was a lady. I mean, this story is crazy, right? And it doesn't always happen like this. So I know this is definitely, at least for me, is an outlier story. But he said that he had a client one time, and she had told him that she was visiting, I believe it was Dubai. I might be wrong in that, but she was visiting a foreign country, and she was basically, sightseeing, and she was walking around, and then she had a cab driver come up to her to ask her, did she want to, be driven around to go see whatever sights that she wanted to. And she went there, and it turned out the guy literally drove her into the desert and basically told her and said, I'm going to rape you now. Can you imagine? I'm going to rape you now. He takes her out in the desert, literally, right? Rips off her clothes. And she, in the midst of him, like trying to get on her to rape her, she looks at him in his eyes and says, I know that you were hurt. I know that you were hurt and somebody hurt you. And she like literally just embraces him and says, you don't have to hurt anymore, and that I love you. And the man doesn't rape her, guys. Like, of course, right? That's not, your mind doesn't go there when you think of a story like that. You're thinking it's going to end in either that man raping her or that man killing her, etc. But when I heard that story, that was so crazy. And she said that the man actually wept. He literally wept. I think that's just such a miraculous story that I had never heard before. But I just bring that up to say that, man, first of all, to have any kind of emotional intelligence and capacity to do what she did for him in that situation is just amazing. And then the fact that this person who hadn't the intention to do something that was, so horrific to her, literally in a moment of her sharing some kind of authentic love, of seeing him and seeing that maybe someone had done something to him or hurt him, and it stopped him in his tracks. So I was just floored. So anyway, that's just one story that I think of, and you know, I know many of us, especially if you're listening to any kind of mainstream news and things like that, that those stories aren't the things that are being highlighted, and there's a lot of negativity and things that are, you know, that are put out to us. But I do believe there are many stories where people have gone through so many things where they just rise above the odds. So I'm getting a lot of answers. So I'm going to stop talking and read some of these. Imagine says, however, I completely understand the perspective of someone who feels that they've had to, I think he means had to be strong for an extended period of time, that they just wish to be safe. Yeah, absolutely. And not have to constantly be on guard. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Emma Starr says there's no such thing or room for the thought process of being safe. Ooh, okay. Now I don't know what he said. Now I don't know why he said what he said when you come in like that. Yeah, let me read that again. He says there's no such thing or room for the thought process of being safe pertaining a alpha man. Okay. As a leader, you're the number one person who will always be unsafe because your job is to provide a safe environment. And in order for you to do so, you have to be willing to be in front of anything that's unsafe and or risk. Okay, he said, I'll give you an example. If I'm the head of the household of a family, my job will always be to make sure that the family is safe. And in order to make sure the family is safe, I would have to navigate anything that combats safety. And and even be in a position to do that, you need to be strong. I believe safe can't be a thing without strength. Okay, wow. I'm so glad. First of all, thank you, all of you, especially MF Stars, because you did write a lot. I appreciate you guys, first of all, just for popping in with me. I always say you could be anywhere. So if you decide to pop in here with me and invest some of your precious time and your energy and your wisdom, I'm forever grateful for that. But on top of that, to type out these answers that are extensive, I so appreciate you guys for it. And what I find interesting is that all of the men, pretty much, I think except for Justin, all picked strong and said that the strength provides the safety. And what I love and what I find interesting about that is because I can tell from the statements that you guys made, even though, right? Here's the crazy part. I think even though in many of the ways that you guys described your answer, that you're describing it because of the position you feel like you hold, whether it's in a family dynamic, that you're defending your family. But I think the reasoning behind the way you guys are answering that question is it's an offensive, right, type of strength. Even though you're defending your family, it's not from this place of like, I'm tired of combating. It's offensive because you're like, this is my position, this is what I do, and this is what's going to provide the safety, and I don't see any other way for the safety to come in, but through me holding my position. And that's what I love about it. I love that the strength is coming from an offensive type of reasoning and perspective. And I think that matters, right? That matters on how we build not only our relationships, but right, our relationships and that we build, especially marriages that societies and nations are built upon. You need more of that than necessarily thinking of it from a defensive space. So I appreciate that. MF Star says, I believe safe can't be a thing without strength. Okay, I read that. And he said, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt and join. No, first of all, you wouldn't be interrupting. It's not at all. He said, plus the guy who said he tired of being strong is wild. Oh no, that's not, that's not a, that's not a guy, MF Stars. That's so Nana was the woman who said that. So I understand. He like, if that's a guy and he said that, what's wrong with him? I like Emma Stars because he is so direct, okay? Emma Star says, in this life we live in, how can I not be offensive? Yeah, absolutely. And I have to fight for my peace and the peace of my loved ones. She said, okay, Emma Star says, okay, that makes sense then if, if it's a woman, right? So that's so interesting. I appreciate him. He said exactly what was on his mind. Yeah, no, that was a woman, which, right, you can understand why she said that, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I appreciate you guys' answers. I really do. I think they were spot on, the things that you guys said. So I guess overwhelmingly strong came out. I guess the men took over. The men took over and strong won so far. He said, my bad, I'm straight to the point. I know, that's why I love it. I love how direct you are, I really do. So Nana says, as a black woman, it's just as tough. Yeah, right? The different stigmas and stereotypes, definitely, that come with being the quote-unquote strong black woman, right? And that's what I mean. I think that's why this conversation is so important because, you know, that's a whole nother. So I feel like, should I open these can of worms? I don't feel like I want to open that right now because I think it ties in where I was saying, what I was saying about, true sacrifice rather than us just living out the repercussions of, choices, not just individual choices, but choices as a community too. And, we all know that in anything that we experience here and that we live through, you can chase the root back to whatever was going on in the home, right? Because what you experience in the home, it pours out to how we, right, build our communities, and the people who build the communities build the society, right? And how we govern the society. So there's no existing problem that we have today that you can't root back to the home. And so even if the strong black woman type of stereotype came out of, right, whether it was the broken homes or the dysfunctions of the home, that again, is putting the wrong type, right? The wrong type of context to, I guess, the pure meaning of what strength would be, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So I think that this conversation is important because I do think that whether you're a man or a woman, I do think that this, like what they said, the strength leads to the safety and I always say where you put your strength in, like I always say this quote that my husband said, which I absolutely always love. He says, misplaced faith is failure, right? So like if you misplace your faith and put it in something that's not rooted, that you shouldn't anchor into, or just not anchored, something that will not have a proper anchor for you, then yeah, that's going to lead to some experiences that might not be really it won't be advantageous to you. So when we're talking about strength, it's really that. Where are we putting our strength? Because the wonderful men who came in here, which I really do love you guys' answers, and I applaud that. And I think having men that have that type of outlook, especially when it comes to family dynamics and structure, is wonderful because it does provide, right, a sense of safety for us as the women and the children. And I remember I was doing I do a private group coaching on relationship skills outside of these lives. And we were just talking about family dynamics and structure and the positioning, a lot of the things that you guys stated actually tonight. And I was saying to them, that I often say to my couples that, the man, as a lot of the men said, today is, right, they should be the leaders of the household, and they're going to think about protection, provision, right, and demonstrating those things for their family. And, I always say that's the positioning, the best positioning to have a really good foundation for the family structure. And the marriage is bigger than the both of them, right? It's bigger than the both of them. And even though this man is trailblazing, he's demonstrating, he's leading, he's taking on the positioning of protecting and providing, the woman is there to remind him, like, okay, yes, this is the position that you've taken on, but you direct him, right, to where he should put his strength, which is in God, because that man is doing all of that. And then you remember that all of us is floating through the air, through the universe, on a planet that's just floating, right? It is a reminder that all of us is vulnerable. Right here, even though you have all of these things that you're taking on, so I think that's where it is. And it depends on where you put your strength in, that then one will dictate how you experience that strength, right? Number one. And then two, whether the strength that you're pulling from will make you have more of a defensive type of perspective on it, or an offensive one, depending on when, right? Because if you anchor your faith in God, and you put your strength in there, there's no offense to God. Like, there's no one to match, right? So your faith is anchored into something that there's no match to here. So that gives you a better grounding. But if we start putting our strength and our faith in our own selves and our own efforts and our own skills and things like that, that most definitely is going to run its course. Because you don't want to put the weight of the world on one individual. So it's best that we put our strength in something that we can anchor in, that will provide us enough, fuel and energy to be able to hold down the positions that we have. Let me read some of these things that are coming in. All right. Emma Star says, absolutely, Nana. I feel for y'all. Gotta be just as strong, sometimes even stronger. Too many single moms, broken homes, yeah. Broken people raising kids, yeah. Facts, and I hate it, MF Star says. He said, it was one thing growing up this way, but to still continue the pattern is wild. Yeah, if anything, it's worse now. Kids making kids, and most have no direction, respect, or leaders in their lives. You ever notice kids don't play outside anymore? Yeah, absolutely. I do notice, and I feel so sad every time I see it. Might seem small, but that interaction is what made us who we are. Absolutely. We didn't have as much technology equals distractions. Absolutely. And one of my family members, I think it was my nephew, was saying how he was watching some kind of either documentary or show that said that, because kids are not going outside, they're not getting a certain amount of nutrients that they get, only from either the sun or being out in the air, that is affecting their growth. And I was like, I can definitely believe it, just from the fact that I'm just sitting in front of the computers all day. So I was like, absolutely. So that's very true, MF Stars. So Nana says, just getting off work. Nice talking to y'all. I'm going to bed. Oh, no problem. Thank you for popping in while you were, at work with me. Thank you, beautiful. Get some rest. Get some rest. And MF Star says, I'm normally swamped with work, but I got time tonight. Oh, I appreciate you, Emma Stars. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for stopping in with me on your day where your workload is not so heavy. I appreciate you. Thank you. But great conversation, guys. Great conversation. I just thought it was such an interesting question when I came across it. And I was like, I'm going to present this to you guys. And so the last part of this, I wanted to kind of introduce the topic that I was thinking of. I mean, this is the topic, but to just tell you guys the last thing that I wanted to Oh, thank you. He said I really picked a good topic. I wanted to tie this into a post that I saw. So one of my a friend of a friend's, and he does like relationship shows in the UK in London and things like that. But nonetheless, he posted on his page and he wrote and said, should married men wear their wedding rings? Should married men wear their wedding rings, right? And of course he had a whole slew of people in their comments. And it made me think of this topic that I was going to present to you guys. And of course, there were a mirage of people who said he most definitely should, because, you know, if he doesn't want to give mixed messages to people, he should let people know off the bat, you know, that he's married. And if he doesn't, then he's not honoring and respecting the marriage. And then there were other people who were on the other spectrum who said, you know, no, he doesn't necessarily. There are plenty of married men who wear their rings and they still cheat and they don't you know, honor their relationships. So it really doesn't matter, you know, and a lot of them put certain examples, whether it was their grandfathers or fathers, et cetera, that they saw and maybe they couldn't wear their rings due to their jobs, like, you know, I don't know, being a butcher or something like that. They didn't wear it, but that they were very faithful to their, you know, spouses. So the ring wasn't, you know, basically what held the marriage together. It was the actual person honoring their vows, whether they were wearing the ring or not. So I wanted to tie it in, right, with safety and strength, right? Because for a lot of people, and at least the way I read the comments when they were coming in, for the people who were like, no, he should definitely wear it because he's honoring his marriage and it'll let people know and things like that. That kind of reminded me of safety, you know, the reflection of him wearing the band. And then I thought about someone being strong, whether they took the band off, you know, or wore it or not, their values that they are anchored in, their values allowed and afforded for them to uphold the vow that they made. So to end off tonight's podcast, I want to know what your thoughts are on that. Do you, which way do you go? Do you feel like, yeah, do you agree with the people who said, yeah, the man should wear the ring, it honors the marriage, it'll protect the relationship and keep it safe because it'll let people know that he's married? Or are you on the other spectrum with the people who said the ring is not what's going to keep the relationship safe? It is the person who has values that they're deeply anchored in, and that is what's going to afford them to stay faithful. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, people? MS Star says, yes, I do believe there are times where it should be okay to take it off, work-wise, working out, etc. Backing off what you just said about some men still cheat, for sure. I have definitely seen it many times. That doesn't change what we know or an excuse. We know right from wrong and know what it's supposed to represent. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think of it because I just maybe recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago, did a podcast talking about titles in relationships and how I think I played a video of this lady who said titles, you know, she was very gun-ho and strong on that titles matter, and that if a man doesn't give you a title, that means that he doesn't want to claim you and things like that, which I understood what she said, because she was like, go to your job and, you know, go to your boss and tell your boss that titles don't matter. Titles dictate what you're going to do in the job. And I just remember saying on that podcast, like, yes, you do get a title when you have proven yourself worthy to be able to fill that position. But the very thing that deems you worthy is your character, right? Whether you're going to an interview and they're looking at your skill sets and they're saying your skill sets along with whatever interview they give you and your character is appealing to them, that is why they give you the position. They don't give you just a title and the title is supposed to, you know what I mean? Kind of like dictate what you're supposed to do. It means that you possessed a certain character to be able to do that. And I think it's the same thing with wearing a ring. I agree with MF Stars that there are sometimes, right, different people do different jobs and have different careers that they might not. Now, and I do think that certain people who still have rings on both ends, whether it's a married man or a woman that is, you know, hitting on a married man or okay with dealing with a married man, they know what it is, and they still don't necessarily care. Now, do I think it's good that someone wears a ring though to honor that? Most definitely. But do I think that him wearing the ring is going to provide some safety or protection for him, in that way? Maybe some women who have certain type of honor and respect will be like, you know what, I'm not going to go because he's married. And of course, yeah, if there are people who are pursuing people, it will cause no, confusion in that way. But I definitely think, bottom line, it's going to be that man honoring his vows, whether he's wearing that ring or not. That's going to really, truly, right, cause him not to stray. Let me read some of these answers. MSR says the ring definitely isn't going to keep it safe. The couple keeps the marriage safe, absolutely. But it still has a deep meaning. Absolutely. Gotta honor it. Otherwise, why do it or even spend all that time, effort, and money? That part, right? I don't know. I guess I'm just logical. Absolutely. I'm not wasting energy or efforts type. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Definitely why I waste all the money. And I thought about that if you flip it, right? And you say the woman, because usually, a lot of the women's ring that the man usually gets her is has the diamonds, it's fancy. So I'm sure he probably be like, okay, where's that ring at? Wear that ring. Just because of, right, like he said, the amount of, whether it's the investment of energy and time looking for it or the money he paid for it, it's like, no, you're going to wear that ring, okay? So I totally understand. I totally understand it from that point of view. But I definitely think it's good, and I do think it represents beautifully the union, but I don't think that for the reasoning that a lot of people gave, saying that if that person didn't wear the ring, that they must be up to no good or they are disrespecting the marriage, because it might be different circumstances, right? As to why, and sometimes you forget. Honestly, innocently, not even like on purpose, but that person who believes what they vow to, it's not going to matter who. And I remember someone's comment, which I really appreciated, and it was actually a woman who said that she doesn't wear her ring often, but she said whenever someone meets her, they're going to know, like, top of conversation. She's going to talk about her husband, she's going to talk about her kids, and they're going to know. So whether she's wearing the ring or not. So I thought that was a interesting answer, and I thought that was a good feedback on that, right? Because again, the person's character and what they believe is important to them, right, is you're going to hear that in their conversation, in their speech. So MSR says, that's why I feel it's best to wait and be very selective with who you marry. Time is always a good thing. You learn so much when given time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, that's not a decision you want to rush into. No, you definitely want to choose with wisdom and choose the right person, because it's very hard. I think I'm going to do a podcast on it, whether if people feel like two people who you feel like are just, they chose wrong, right? They were not right for each other. Do you think two people who are wrong for each other can develop to where they can be right for each other? So that'll probably be another podcast down the line, because it's very hard. It's like, if you chose wrong, it's very hard to, try to make that better. So we'll talk about that at a later time. Emma Star says she wearing that ring if I spend all that money, right? That's a different story. That's a different story, right? Yeah, that's a whole nother story. And I can understand because definitely spending that. And there's some people who say they don't want to wear the ring because you spent all that money, right? Because there's some fear there. I've met different women who have expressed that too. There's some fear there that where you don't want people to you know, target you. You know, whether it's they're fearful somebody's going to rob them or stick them up or whatever. But I've heard many people say that as well on the other end because the ring is so either audacious or expensive that they don't want to they don't want to wear it. Emma Star's like, no, you're going to wear that ring. You're going to wear that ring. I done spent that money. Hey, Pesh, how are you? I've been on here for quite a while. I'm about to get off now. But I will come back on, you know, my little after show, just in case you guys want to come up and join me, like Emma Stars was going to. I'm going to come back on if anybody wants to come and join my live and not want to type. He said, nah, LOL, if we doing the marriage thing, you're going to wear it. Plus, and make sure she ready. Okay, no problem. Hey, Pesh. Aw, thank you. And he said, I wish someone would try, right? Someone would try and take that ring, right? Maybe if she's, you know, I don't know, maybe she's by herself. Maybe you'll be like, nah, babe, don't wear it, you know? Because you don't want her to get, like, you know, somebody. Oh, you was cooking? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Pash. That's really good. Okay. And you look like you look like you could barbecue. I don't know how somebody look like they could barbecue, but you do. You look like you could throw down. You know, on another day you could tell me what you made. I appreciate you gotta cook for the little ones. That's more important. When I'm gonna come literally right back on Emma Stars. Like literally, I'm gonna get off of here and come back on IG in 5 minutes. He good, right? That's what I thought. I thought he was. Oh no, he just saying what up. I thought he was saying he's the goat in cooking. Oh no, is that why, Paige? Oh no, I can't even say what he wrote. He said it's because I'm big, black, and country. Oh no, I did not mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that, Paige. I don't think so, at least. I don't know. He just like gave me vibes that you could cook real good. I hope that's not why. Like that's not back in like my subconscious somewhere. That's terrible. But I'm probably right. You could cook, right? Oh my gosh. All right, let me get off here. You see what I'm when I start talking like this, I need to get off. All right, so I'm definitely gonna get off. I appreciate all of you guys who popped in. It was such a good conversation. And Pej, if you want to come, I'm coming back on the question that I posed tonight. And I know I always love how you articulate things because you're a poet. We were talking about, is it better to be safe or strong? Is it better to be safe or strong? So feel free if you want to come back on with me, answer that question. Pej says, my wife says she getting me the dad sandals. Okay, because the grilled food be too good. See, I was right. See, I knew it. I was spot on. I was right, y'all. He could grill, he could cook. Well, that's awesome. Keep feeding them that good food. But for everyone else, thank you guys for coming on with me. I will be back on Sunday with the regular podcast time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you liked anything that you heard, you feel like it's good conversation, good topics, things that other people need to hear, let them know. Tell a friend and a friend and a friend and a friend that you know this woman named Sharla Kornegay who does this, you know, these podcasts about relationships, and you think they'd really enjoy it. So feel free, go to my YouTube channel, Forever Friends Academy. Like, subscribe, comment. You'll get to know when I'm coming on, and you get to watch the full live video. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll be back on in 5 on IG. For those of you who are on other platforms who want to join my live on my IG, it's Sharla K Music for Instagram. And until then, I'll see you guys soon. All right, always remember to live to love freely. It's been a great time with you guys. All right, bye.